It's Joshua Vergara from Android Authority. What's going on, everybody? And the title you see below is actually half the story. This is why I switched to the iPhone and then right back again. Okay, in case you guys don't really remember, I actually took the entire month of December off before returning at CES. But at the beginning of that particular month, I was faced with a bit of a dilemma. I opened up my drawer where all of the phones are that I currently have, and I thought, I want to use one that I haven't really used a lot in 2015. And there was no phone that fit that description better than the iPhone 6s. Now, I actually have never used an iPhone as my daily driver for an extended period of time, so I thought 1 month was pretty good. Now, I've used this phone for a number of comparisons, but now I was actually going to experience using it on the daily. Now, the thing about this phone is, well, we make no bones about it here. Many of us here at Android Authority still concede that this is a beautifully designed phone. It's kind of the only one of its kind, and pretty much every manufacturer tries to take a few design elements here and there, some more than others. That said, however, I have the Rose Gold edition, and I did ask the bosses over here at Android Authority if they got me this one on purpose.
I will admit,
Rose gold.
Yeah, rose gold. Yeah,
It's pink.
what you? Yeah, no doubt.
Now, what I wanted to do was go to a store and find a third-party accessory to be able to personalize this phone with, but I actually got one before I even headed out to the store, and it was from OnePlus. That's right, the third-party accessory lineup for the iPhone 6s is actually so good that even OnePlus, an Android company, created a case for it, and that became the case that I used for the duration of the month. As far as the different features go, I did sort of underrate the silence toggle that's found on the top left corner. I do usually keep my phones on silent because I wear smartwatches, but in this case, I actually liked the silence toggle because it muted pretty much everything on the phone. 3D Touch is a feature that, while nice in order to get to shortcuts for different applications, is not a feature that I found all that useful. Ultimately, if it wasn't available on the iPhone 6s, I probably wouldn't have noticed. By far the biggest issue that I had with the iPhone 6s was battery life, and I ended up becoming one of those people at the end of the day, most days during December, where I was actually asking around, hey, do you have a power cable? Oh, does anybody have a charger? Or more commonly, I was the person at the end of the day that said, well, my phone's almost dead. That said, however, the standby time on the iPhone 6s is actually pretty great, and if I had enough of a charge, I could leave the phone sitting there and I wouldn't have too much of a problem once I came back to it. But the thing was, I was out in New York, and a couple of my friends actually saw right through the disguise that I put onto my iPhone 6s, and they realized that the Android Authority guy is actually using an iPhone, and a couple of my best friends actually threatened to take a picture of me and post it on social media so that all of you guys would get mad at me. Well, here's that picture that they took, and I still was able to keep it covered with that OnePlus cover. Now, speaking of pictures, the camera on the iPhone 6s was mostly a standard experience. I actually didn't find too much that was better or worse about this than plenty of other good Android cameras out there. And the reason is because when the iPhone 6s camera is doing pretty well, it does actually quite wonderfully. Pictures can come out really detailed and have the right color depth to them. But lower light situations tend to be just as bad also. So I wouldn't really say that the iPhone camera is any better than any other good Android cameras, but I will say that the auto mode, being what you see is what you get, when it works really well, then you're good to go. I would prefer a manual mode though, because if the auto mode doesn't get what I want, then I can always tweak it in a manual setting. And then finally, there's the fingerprint reader. Now, honestly, I do think that the fingerprint reader on the iPhone 6s and 6s Plus happen to be some of the best ones that are out there. They rival that of the Nexus 6P, and I would put them pretty much at the same place. No matter how quickly you remove your finger from the home button, it's always going to jump right into the interface. That's just going to be something that you can rely upon, and it definitely was the case for me. The only thing I didn't like about it was that when I used that shortcut, it turned the camera shortcut into a useless feature. So you might not be surprised to know that I didn't have that many problems using an iPhone 6s as my daily driver. But the main reason for that is because I actually enjoy cross-platforming. I make sure that a lot of the applications that I use can be used in Android or iOS. For example, Cloud Magic. All I had to do was install Cloud Magic, sign into that account, and all my emails were synced. I will say one particular thing though. Google Maps is vastly better than Apple Maps. That's just the way it is, and it's much more accurate, and also it's not as hard to navigate because I'm so used to the Google Maps iteration. But once I came back to CES, I came to one big realization, that when I got the Nexus 6P back in my hand, once Lon finally returned it to me when we met at CES, that customization takes on two different, let's say, premises when it comes to these two ecosystems. In the one case, you have the iPhone, which on the inside is just icons just splashed around the home screens, and it actually felt like a bit of a sterile experience. When you turn on the phone, you know exactly where the apps and icons are going to be half the time, and it's really easy to just get into the phone, swipe around, hit the app, and then you're good to go. Meanwhile, on Android, you can actually cater exactly where you want the apps to be, or you can rely on the app drawer, so there's always that little bit extra that you are doing in order to make the experience your own. Not to mention the fact that once I got my Nexus 6P, I was able to get into the wallpapers, actually change what lock screen was on there, change what launcher was on there even, and actually really intensely personalize this particular device to what I wanted. When it comes to Android, I don't really like putting cases onto my phone, so customization has to come from within, and that's exactly what I do. Meanwhile, on the iPhone, customization is more of an external experience because you have a lot of cases, third-party accessories are really very robust, and there are so many of them out there for the iPhone that you can actually make your phone look different from other people's on the outside. On the inside, it's kind of a really ubiquitous experience, and that's kind of what iOS was going for, and they did achieve that. But that being said, having the actual customization and having my phone be literally mine from the inside and out if I wanted to is really what makes me gravitate to Android. And I know that's a position that a lot of people have taken, but I got a real good sense of that in the month of December when I used this as my daily driver. But ultimately, when I got back to my Android phone, I was really happy, and I haven't looked back since. So keep it tuned to Android Authority for even more, especially our comparisons using the iPhone 6s and 6s Plus. That way you can see how it stacks up to Android flagships in the game today. And from there, you can keep it tuned to this channel, drop us some likes on our videos, and also subscribe if you haven't already. And then when you're done with all of that, head on over to AndroidAuthority.com because we are your source for all things Android.